Good evening, everybody. I call to order the Select Board meeting of Monday, September 30th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. The actual time is 7:38 p.m. Seeing a quorum of the board present, I see Mr. Gito, Ms. Roberts, Vice Chair Carrera, and Mr. McCrisky, and myself. I call this meeting to order. If you are able, please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. So we'll get started with the Select Board comments. I'll start on my right. Mr. McCrisky, do you have any comments?
No, sir.
Thank you, Vice Chair Carrera.
Thank you. Oops. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do. Down at number 6, we're going to discuss paying down debt. And I was wondering if, through you to the town manager, if we've gotten that Collins Center report in yet. Have they contacted you at all?
Mr. Chairman, Collins Center has been put on hold for 3 months due to the work that business had to do on the sunset, so it's not their fault.
Oh, okay.
We're now expecting to get going again in September, get the report December 1st.
Because I didn't know if it would be like, if we got that in, it would be helpful to your working group.
Yeah, it's just that the backlog with Mary Jane leaving, we couldn't get to that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts, do you have any comments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do. I wanted to remind everyone that the Frederick Richard event is this Sunday, October 6th, starts at 12 p.m., and it's at the Stoughton High School. Please attend. It's going to be a very good program, and it's exciting to celebrate a champion. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gito, do you have any comments for tonight?
Yes, I do, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to give a shout out to George Stalinsky, because at the last meeting, he talked about things in citizens' comments that are things that we can act on or consider. They included a change in the noise regulation, a change in traffic speed on Chapman Road, and an issue with the accident rate at Lincoln Street and Pleasant Street. That's what citizens' comments are for. So I just wanted to give you a little bit more fodder in terms of your pronouncements each week on that. I mean, it's a good example of why it is that people can come here. And in fact, if they do, things may change for the better within the town. Just wanted to mention that. My second comment is the town manager. There is an ash borer problem, which I'm sure you're well aware of, that's killing almost all of the ash trees in town. If you drive around, you just see these big branches sticking up, no leaves. I would suggest that that you spend a few minutes talking with a couple of the tree companies in town to find out what their assessment is of the situation and make sure that we have enough money in our budget to take care of those problems, because those branches are going to fall off. I have a bunch of ash trees on my property, and they are almost all dead now. And I could go around on any day after a windy day and pick up many branches. If some of those branches fall through a windshield, we've got a problem. So I just mentioned that. Those are my only two comments.
Thank you, Mr. Gito. I have no comments for tonight, so we'll move on to town manager comments. Mr. Calder?
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman, just a couple of points. First of all, on Mr. Zielinski, I agree with Mr. Gito completely on the traffic mitigation measures on those two roads, one intersection, one road. We're meeting about those on Thursday. On the noise ordinance, Brian Winter is going to do an opinion for us on Thursday to bring before the board. So I agree with your point, Lou. Those are very high quality citizen comments. The second point having to do with the ash trees, I can assure the board, Mr. Gito, that Mr. Jaffoon's phone will ring at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. And we'll be all over that as well. And we'll get a professional opinion as to what's happening and what we can do about it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, I said I had no comments, but I actually just want to mention I was at Stoughton Day this last weekend, and I just wanted to thank our recreation department for hosting that event, for putting it together. It was fabulous, and it was a really beautiful day and a lot of fun. And I know a lot of hard work went into it. But the folks from the recreation department had a really, really great attitude. I'm sure it was probably exhausted by that point, but you couldn't tell. They were beaming, and they helped everybody have a good time. So I just wanted to thank them for their very hard work in doing that. Okay, so we got that. Next is citizen comments. I see Mr. Murphy online with his hand raised, but I want to ask if anybody in the hall would like to speak tonight. Okay, seeing none, I'll just ask Mr. Murphy if he would like to speak. He's welcome to now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we're able to hear you.
Hi. What I'd like to do is basically reiterate what Mr. Delinsky stated last week about the noise and outrageous parties. There has been numerous parties at one house lasting well past 12 midnight. I have brought this to the attention of the town manager, the code enforcement officer, and the chief of police. The code enforcement officer did issue a letter of violations. For example, a fee was charged at the door of the gate to get into the backyard. They were serving alcoholic beverages. They were serving food not approved by the Board of Health. The police have been called to this address multiple times by multiple neighbors in regards to this. The owner has been directed to cease and desist from having illegal parties through the town enforcement officer. And kudos to him. He did a great job. He listened to what I had to say. I also talked to the town manager about it, and he supported it. And I also talked to the chief of police, Donna McNamara, and she also is very much aware of it because of the amount of drain that it puts on her staff. I mean, one night they were here 3 times, and that was the last one. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So anyways, what the town needs to improve its jurisdiction on the bylaw. As Mr. Delinsky mentioned, there's nothing about the sound, shutting down sound at the end of night. So that has to be, this bylaw needs to come from the code enforcement officer, the town manager, the police department, and the select board. The town lawyer also has to look this over, so this way here it goes through without there being any questions about it. It can't be a petition article from any of the residents. And as you know, I've had several articles that I have put through, but it hasn't met the legal muster. So you need the lawyer to take a look at this if it comes from anybody within the town departments. And I appreciate that. This needs to be a bylaw that has it's got to be a dog with teeth. It's got to show some meaning so it doesn't go on all summer like this past situation has. And that's my comment on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Murphy. I appreciate it. You know, we've definitely heard over the last couple of years. I've heard more and more calls for noise ordinances. I think the first time I heard, you know, I lived here 15 years before I heard someone complain. I heard one, and then the following year 2, and now 5 and 7. So it definitely seems to be becoming more and more of a problem. So something we'll be taking a look at. I agree with you also that to get it right with the petition articles, I have a lot of respect for petition articles, but I agree that we need to get it right the first time. We can't, you know, have a technicality slow us down, which tends to happen with petition articles. So thank you very much, sir. So we're going to take a couple of items out of order for the rest of the agenda. I'm going to actually start with the consent agenda, which is item 8. We're going to pull item C. Before we do, is there a motion to approve items A and B from the consent agenda?
So made.
Second.
Okay, so those are
A and C?
A and B, Alpha, Bravo.
Oh, I'd like to pull item number 2,
Okay,
B.
okay, then we'll just we'll vote them one at a time. Approval of open session minutes, meeting of September 17th, 2024. Is there a motion to approve that?
So made.
I would like to, go ahead.
There was an amendment in the last line of that meeting minute.
Okay.
Pass it out.
I'll pull back my motion, Mr. Cavey.
If we need to adjust those, we can always come back and just vote those next week. Or 2 weeks. I'm sorry? Just one line?
Under Select Board comments, Ms. Roberts announced a webinar by the Mass Select Board Association to be held at noon on September 19th, 2024, Building Stronger Communities Through Civic Participation, led by leaders of the Collins Center. She encouraged new members to take courses and review the Mass General Laws and Robert's Rule of Order. So it's just some tweaking of words and adding in encourage new members.
Okay. So with that, is there a motion to approve the minutes, or is there any other adjustments? Yes, sir.
Mr. Gito didn't, at the very end, on the open the warrant, Mr. Gito stepped away. He did not leave the meeting. He just wasn't there for that. And the approval of the minutes was 4-0, not 3-0, because Mr. Gito was available for that portion of it.
I appreciate it. I was time, so I didn't recall that, but I appreciate it. Okay, so with those 2 amendments to the minutes, any other amendments? Okay.
Motion to approve, please.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Motion to approve with the following amendments made by Ms. Roberts, seconded by Vice Chair Carrera. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Next item, item B, approval of a here masonry, veneer, thermal insulation, door hardware, fire protection specialties, and plumbing manufacturing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30, Section 39MB. So that's a procurement related law, right? We have a memorandum from our procurement officer regarding this, and that is a memo stated proprietary specifications. Am I looking at the right thing? Is that sorry, Mr. Golder, is this related to that item? Okay, thank you.
Fran dated today, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry?
Is that from Fran dated today?
Yeah.
Yes, I asked her to weigh in on it.
Perfect, thank you. And so this is regarding proprietary specifications fire station project. She wrote a memo that says the following: the town of Stoughton is in the design and bid phase for phase 2, fire headquarters and public health. After reasonable investigation, the building group has determined the use of proprietary specifications are essential to this project and may only be used for, quote, sound reasons in the public interest, end quote. Mass General Law, Chapter 149 and 30, Chapter 30, Section 39MB requires that municipalities follow these steps when using proprietary specifications. One, the governmental body, select board, make the determination to use the proprietary specification through a vote of the board. And 2, the written documentation must be kept with the bid documents and made available promptly upon request. Below is a list, is there a second page? Below is a list for your approval and vote of proprietary items to be included in the specification/bid packages for the phase 3 of the fire station project, fire station headquarters and public health facility, 30 Freeman Street. The reason for each proprietary specification is outlined on the following pages in a format that provides for the official record of the vote. I'm not sure if I have the second page that's being referenced. I'm not sure if that's in.
I can assure you I don't have it either. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the town manager, is there any way we can get an accounting of what's been spent so we know where we are with this next phase? Like, because I haven't seen any numbers at all on anything.
I can have that put on the next agenda, Mr. Vice Chairman, and I do know the project is on time and on budget, but Biz, I'm sure, can calculate where we are year to date on spending versus bid and final estimate budget, et cetera. This consent agenda item before you is simply to be in compliance with Section 30 of the Mass General Laws with respect to procurement. When you have specialty items, you need to say publicly that it's a specialty item because we can't just put it out for 3 bids in the procurement process. That's all this is a formality.
Yeah, the examples often given, I think, is usually related to police. That, for example, they'll have a single firearm, and we don't just go out to bid and get a different brand that our specifications have to be for a specific firearm, but it can also be for in cases where only one manufacturer actually produces it, so we can't have, get 3 bids.
So, Mr. Chairman, do you have any objection to putting the year-to-date cost for the fire department project on the next agenda item?
Oh, not at all, not at all.
Gilda, would you mind doing that? Thank you.
So have people actually had a chance to read through this? We want to move on it? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have basically the same issue as Mr. Carrara. I'm interested in the cost. I'm interested in where the project is going, what the next steps are going to be, what the cost is going to be for those next steps. And I would suggest that we put this off until the next meeting when after we hear that, so that we know what we're dealing with, and we're not moving ahead with something that may or may not fit with what we're hearing next week or the week after next.
Yeah.
No objection to that, other than that will delay the project. These are specified products and manufacturers that we can't deviate from. So I guess waiting for the cost, all that would mean is the board wants to delay the project, and I would understand, but this will delay the procurement of these specialty products.
Yeah, so the will of the board, do we move on, or do we...
Can I make a statement to help me?
Yeah.
With the way things are in the markets out there, they won't hold the price. Some of them are only holding for 15 days from when we approve it here to get it, or 30 days. I can't even, in my business, we can't get them to hold the stuff. They say, you got 30 days, you either buy it now or it's going up. And things are jumping. So that's the only thing I want to say. If you know what I mean? I don't want to hold it up, but I would have liked to have seen, if we could put that much time into a bid sheet saying this is what we want, then give me an idea. Give me a number so that we could just roll it off. That's part of the job. It's what should have been done. Biz gives us the numbers, we get the numbers.
So, Mr. Chairman, bright minds think alike, and I mean Lou and Scott. Chief Carroll already, Jill just informed me, Chief Carroll requested that they present a budget at the next meeting. So it was already on the agenda. So bright minds think alike.
So with regard to this item and the backup that I mentioned, I didn't see a page stapled to this, but it's actually all in the package. So, Mr. Krisky.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just make a motion.
I think your mic might be off.
I didn't hear that.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chairman. I'd just make a motion that we move ahead with consent agenda item B, and that the required financial information be provided to us as soon as Biz has it done. That's my motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, the motion was made by Mr. McCrisky and seconded by Vice Chair Carrera. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Okay, 4-1. Consent agenda item B is approved. And the last item is Memorial Square dedication for Edward T. Horn Sr. I know the student
Motion
always pronounce that
approved.
last name, so I hopefully got the right one.
Whoops.
I'll second Mr. Gito's motion.
What is that?
I'll second Mr. Gito's motion to approve.
Motion to approve? I think we might just have a presentation, if you guys would.
Come on up,
Chairman,
Sharon,
totally
come
up
on
to you,
up.
but I think there is suitable information before us, and it's been discussed in the past. I'm ready to make a motion to approve now. So I don't know how everybody else feels.
I'm ready to approve the motion as well.
Okay.
So
So motion has been made by Mr. Cheeto and seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? No abstentions? Sorry to drag you out, but thank you very
Sharon,
much.
thank you.
Yeah, Sharon, thank you for bringing that all together. It's been out there for a long time.
Well earned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And the next item we're going to take is item number 6. This is to discuss and authorize the close and pay down outstanding debt under the $500,000 threshold as allowed by Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 20. Votes may be taken. Okay. Some motion to approve. Do we want to? I feel comfortable as well, but does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, you're on number 6.
What was that?
You're on number 6.
I'm on number 6. Yeah, to discuss. This is to discuss authorizing the closure and pay down of outstanding debt under $50,000.
Right. I'll second that.
So
Second Mr. Gito's
it's going to be a
motion.
quick night if we keep this pace up. Excellent. So we have a motion by Mr. Gito to approve, and we have a second by Ms. Roberts. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Well done, Biz.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all very much for that.
Okay, and so now we'll move on to item number 5, which is the 2025 special town meeting warrant. At this point, it's been open for 2 weeks, and it's our task, if so we choose, to close it. And well, actually, yes, we have 2 steps. One, we have to insert the articles, and then we have to close it. So we met last Tuesday. The package was provided to everybody. Did all have an opportunity to read through it? Take that as a yes. Are there any that anybody has any questions about?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll start with, just go over there. We'll go with Mr. Gito first. I'm just gonna come around, but if
We're
you,
going by age.
Well, the way I'm feeling, I would go first.
but if you want, but if you want to bat forth, I'll do that. It doesn't really matter to me.
I sent a note to the town manager on Thursday about this, so this is not new news for him. I understand that, while I understand that this article would decrease administrative time, it also hides the costs for the two separate functions over which the Select Board sets rates to cover the costs, and over which many citizens receive services for either water or sewer, but not both.
I just want to make sure, which article are you referring to? Article 4?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We okay?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
yeah.
For one, I mean, you know, sitting here on the board, we have to set water rates and we have to set sewer rates. And we set those rates last year and said that this October we were going to tell the town whether or not we set them too high, too low, what the story was. I think we need to keep those numbers separate. And I think we need to be clear that, you know, it costs so much for water and so much for sewer, and that we set our rates accordingly. I mean, I have water, but I don't have sewer, and some people have a well, but they are connected to the sewer. And I don't think that anybody wants to pay for somebody else's stuff if they don't need to. I think that it's quite appropriate for the water sewer department to be able to separate the cost for water and the cost for sewer. I mean, if you're a private company, you have many clients and you have many different lines of work. And, you know, as an owner of a company, you'd want to know how each one of those things is working. Now, you know, it's not going to be an exact thing. It never is. I mean, you've got a person who may work half a day in water and half a day in sewer. But you know what? The foreman should be able to know who's working where and where the charges should go. The same thing with other activities. I mean, you buy a truck. You use it for both things. You have some sense of what the cost should be allocated for. And you can pay for the truck out of two different accounts. You don't have to pay for it out of just one. So I think we should not submit this article. And I think we should keep those rates separate so that we can have real conversations with the people in town as to what the cost of each of these services are. So that's the only, of the 16 articles that I saw here, that's the only one that troubles me. I might get troubled when I hear some other things, but right this moment, I would suggest that we not put this article into town meeting.
I mean, I'll express my thoughts very quickly, which is that I hadn't given it. I've given it some thought. The benefits of combining these accounts is something that I'm very well aware of, and there have been multiple instances where we've had shortages in one account and surpluses in the other, and it's led to what I feel is kind of an inequity between ratepayers. But at the same time, you know, I do understand your point. I think the question, I won't say question because we shouldn't necessarily be interviewing or you know, having a debate where I'm trying to pull in, you know, get you to step on a landmine or something. But what I would say is that my concern is that this question, I do feel should be settled by the representative government of our town, a town meeting, and not necessarily essentially eliminate it from even having a full, robust discussion in town meeting at our level, where 5 members decide that it's not even going to be something for town meeting to consider. That's something I would rather see them examine this question and make a determination than to prevent them from doing so. Ms. Roberts. Yeah, sorry.
Vice Chair.
Oh, you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when I read the brief on the logic or the rationale for combining water and sewer, I saw it a little bit different. I didn't see it as changing the rates for water and sewer or combining the rates to, let's say, to have an average rate or anything as complicated as that. But since we do have the benefit of the Director of Finance, our town accountant, here, I would like to ask you, through you, Mr. Chairman, to our Director of Finance, why and what benefit to the town would that be to combine?
The benefit to the town is that it would be one reporting mechanism rather than 2, and we can still track rates separately, which would still be required. So the sewer rate that we set right now will have to be separate from the water rate. And typically how it works, and this can be verified by another source, is that your sewer rate is pretty much 60, I think it's 60% of your water rate is how that's calculated by the usage. So it takes time to calculate those, but the biggest benefit here is that we would be combining the labor for the 2, so it reduces our time processing payroll. It will reduce the time to process purchase orders because we can all take those out of one fund or one checkbook. But we can still account for the 2 separate entities in that checkbook by defining the department number. So water, I think, is 440, and sewer, I think, is 450. So we just change our chart of accounts where we're accounting for it in one. But we can still pull out what the costs were for each aspect of the operation. So it's a cost center versus a different checkbook, essentially. Did that answer your question?
Yes, administrative.
Strictly administrative, and it will, in the end, save money.
Thank you. That answers my question completely.
Sorry. Mr. Carrera, Vice Chair Carrera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did tab this the other night when I got it late, and I thought we were going to talk about it, so I went through it. And what I gather out of this is I want to know, because it's 2 separate entities, water and sewer, what are the ramifications on the employees? First of all, who's going to bargain with the union? What's it going to cost us to combine it? Because some guys are here and don't do this, but they're here in the water. Then we're going to do that. So I'm not for combining them. If we're going to keep 2 sets of books inside of one, then you keep them far apart. The farther apart, the less the problem. I know it might seem easier, but take it from me, it's not. And I don't know how you guys feel. It's a majority rules here. I'm tired of voting away my powers as a selectman. I know what the charter says, and that's where I want to stay. I've already lost control over looking at water applications and having input because I haven't seen one since it happened, and I was going to see them. I have not seen one. Nor am I going to come into the town hall and go bother Mr. Tisdale asking for them. I asked to see them, and I wanted to see them in a timely manner, not after they've been approved. Hey, look what we did. Piss on you. Pardon my French. But if you guys want to vote little by little and little by little away what we're supposed to do as selectmen, then that's the wish of the board. I don't need town meeting to tell me a job that we chose to take upon us to do water rates and sewer rates. I don't need to share that with them. That is what we do as the fathers of this community. That's what they chose us to do. And I don't want to simplify it. I don't need to put it together and the next thing we know, 300,000 fell on the other side. Don't know how it happened. It was just a slip of the pen. I want to see it. I want to control it. That's our right.
Mr. McCrisky.
Well, I guess I'm going to ask if I'm reading it wrong, because I didn't read in that we're losing any authority here, that we still, we're the only ones that can raise water and sewer rates. This is just going to be the tool on how that number is internally kept on the bookkeeping process, out of one line item versus two. So I don't know what authority, and I know for a fact that this board voted the process to have the water department and the superintendent of water try to resolve any kind of abatements that were needed. If it could be done, we took a vote. So we didn't, it wasn't taken away from us. We gave it up. Because, okay, all right, then I'm just saying we were, and then you didn't know that we did vote that, and that has taken away what some people called politics, because the people that set the rates were the ones negotiating to get a deal on it after the water hiked for whatever reason. And as you know, we found many people that, came before us that were looking for an abatement that just didn't deserve it. And now the data, actually the equipment, the process for identifying that is more in the hands of the water department because of the technology they have with the new meters and so forth. That is more telltaling than we've had before. So I don't see a big difference in this unless I'm missing something. Somebody pointed out to me. But it seems pretty cut and dry that all we're doing is the way we document the funds is going to be in one line item versus two, and the selectmen are not losing the authority to raise water or sewer rates because we're the only ones that can. So.
Yeah, that's my understanding, is that none of that will change. I mean, this is strictly accounting. And just very quickly, Mr. Coulter, I will go to you. I just have one quick question for a finance manager. Are you aware of when these accounts are combined? Would there be actually separate accounting for things that were going into sewer versus water, or would you be commingling those accounts?
When we set up a chart of accounts, it would be a cost center. So there'd be two cost centers within the combined, which would be department, I think it's 440 and 450, which represent water specifically and sewer specifically. The revenues would also be tracked separately. So it would just be, the big advantage here is when we do have an operational deficit, when we go to do our retained earnings, we'll have one figure we're working with rather than two.
Yeah.
And for instance, when you go into a deficit on your retained earnings, it has to go on the tax rate recap, and that's raised by tax rate that hasn't been approved by town meeting. That's what the DOI requires, and that's the biggest advantage with this type of situation. And when you go out to borrow, you're borrowing from two different entities. So therefore you have two different notes. So by having two different notes, you have additional borrowing costs, just like when you go to do your mortgage, you have additional closing costs. So there are a lot of benefits financially to combine the two. I know Mr. Carrera had a question regarding unions and negotiation and combining that type of thing. I would defer that type of question to the town manager, as I'm not sure if we have two different contracts or if we just have a single contract. So I'd defer that type of question to the town manager.
Yeah, that's helpful, because I'm not surprised at all. That's just sort of best practices that you'd have two cost centers, and so even the accounting will still be, you'll be able to clearly delineate what's being spent in water versus what's being spent in sewer. Really, the only thing is some of the barriers, administrative barriers, that having those things separated, by sort of an iron wall between them, like borrowing, or as we have mentioned, sometimes we have deficits in one and surplus in the other, and we've got to, increase the rate, even though we have a bunch of money available that we wouldn't have to necessarily increase people's rates for. for. It's just we can't access it because they're in two separate accounts, and that's the inequity that I've mentioned in the past. And our ability to set water and sewer rates, I think, will actually be even more flexible. It will offer us a lot of more opportunities to prevent that kind of inequity.
And what it will also provide us, it will give us more negotiating power when we're going to purchase items, because we have, for instance, we have a contract with the water department that they're going to do some street work. I'm making this up, it's totally hypothetical. And the sewer department has a contract for the same type of work for what they have to do for it. So now you have the capacity to work with your vendors to say, this is a joint project, water and sewer, and you'll have better, or you should have better negotiating power with these entities that you're working with.
Yeah.
One department doesn't have to do with the other. They don't buy the same pipe. One's buying ductile iron, the other buying plastic. Plastic's way shorter than ductile iron.
This was just for an example. It was hypothetical.
I see one department subsidizing the other department. And then we're going to get caught trying to figure rates. The inequity's always going to be there. There's never going to be the same, because the MWRA has us by the throat. And I asked this town to put somebody that on the MWRA board, our rep, to get us off the population charge. We are paying money ridiculously for that charge. Nobody else in the MWRA district pays a population charge the way we do. That's your inequity. That's what you need to get wiped out. That's a good charge. But the usage, the leakage that gets through that, it's apples and oranges. I see in your eyes it might be easy, but some things aren't always easy in life. Sometimes you got to keep them separate.
Mr. Coulter. Sorry,
A couple of things I'd like to comment on. I'm the one that authored this article, so I have no problem standing behind the position, but I have no objection if the will of the majority is to not move this. It's not going to change my day. I want to clarify a few things. The commitment that Scott's referring to, Lou refers to in terms of rate setting and analysis of options, that's scheduled for November, and that's what we promised them last year, a November analysis and a recommendation to the board for a rate adjustment if called for. That's point number one, and that will happen as scheduled. Point number two, this is all about expense management. It's not about revenue management. Our revenues are determined by formula. Regardless of what the expenses are for each department, to Mr. Gito's point, he's got water, but he doesn't have sewerage, or is it the other way around? He's got one, but not the other. The rates are determined by the formula. A percentage of water is charged for sewerage. If you don't have sewerage, you don't get charged that percentage. So that has nothing to do with any of this. This is why we're doing it. This is my third budget. I was involved at the end of the first year, and then last year, and now this next year. We're running out of ways to lower cost and to decrease the burden on taxpayers. Having come from the construction industry with a lot of equipment, I know when you have two departments under the same management, under the same union, but accounted for differently, there's a lot of what I call silo thinking. Hey, I know you need the backhoe next week, but I think I may need it, so you're going to have to subcontract one. And then they subcontract, hypothetically, a backhoe, and it sits all week. Ours sits all week. It's a big expense out the window. A use of labor. If you want to use my labor, you've got to pay for it. And you get all this, what we call intercompany billing, that is non-productive. The net is zero. But it gets this type of restructuring, gets the single department head, it's one department head for both businesses, to make good, sound decisions as if he owns the business in terms of asset utilization, people deployment, purchase of equipment. But as Biz pointed out, the most important one, when we have a structural deficit, as we did in FY24 in one business and not the other, or in both businesses, we have to go to either taxation, free cash if it's a regular department, not an enterprise fund, or borrowing. if we have two different departments and one is quote unquote profitable and the other isn't, but it's the same department, we can avoid borrowing any money or using free cash. That's the reason we're doing it. So again, it's no big deal that we pass this or pass it this year. There's no hiding of numbers. We can still present it as two separate general ledger accounts. But again, the expenses are common, the revenue is not. Because the expenses, it doesn't matter which department you put them in, because they're both the same department. What matters is that the revenue is a percentage. It's a formula. It's not driven by profitability. It's a formula. It's completely unrelated to what we're trying to do right here. What we're trying to do right here is be more efficient with our expenses and our asset utilization so that we can save the taxpayers money, not borrow more money. We are debt burdened right now. Biz and I talked about it for an hour this morning. We are so close to not being able to borrow money. In 5 years, we may be unable to borrow money if we don't get real prudent. This is a small measure, only a small measure to eliminate borrowing by using the surplus, the retained earnings from one department to pay for a one-year deficit in another department. It gives us a year notice to adjust rates to cover a deficit in one or the other. Right now, if we have a deficit, we don't have a year to fix it.
So we'll see does anybody else have any comments or questions that they might have? Mr. Gito.
First of all, we could hire a front-end loader and pay for it out of two accounts. We don't have to pay for it out of one account. And a department head can figure out what kind of work is going to happen and make sure that the water department gets its share and the sewer department gets its share. So, I mean, I'm hearing a lot of things in defense of some spots on a page. What I'm also looking at here is item number 3 in the why combine says that by combining departments, we're allowed to use retained earnings of one department to close structural deficits in the other. This action reduces the need to close the deficit through taxation. Well, the idea, quite frankly, is to try to keep those things so that you pay for water out of water and you pay for sewer out of sewer. That's the intent of the thing. So that the people that have only one only pay for one. And they pay the amount that is as close to being the right number as possible. That's the reason that I'm not interested in combining these things. Now, look at, as Mr. Carrara said, it might be a 3-2 vote against doing this, changing this. That's fine. That doesn't stop anyone from talking at town meeting about it. Quite frankly, I think it's our responsibility to decide how this is going to be done, and not just because somebody presented it to us, that we need to accept that. But other people may have a different view.
Mr.
I
Chairman.
hope I'm clear.
1 second. Ms. Roberts, did you have comments you want to make? I wasn't sure. Okay, I got it. Mr. Coulter.
With respect to Mr. Gito's last comment, I believe it's my obligation. I'm not just somebody. It's my obligation to bring these types of opportunities to the board, and that's what I'm simply trying to do. But I do believe that the board is representative of our representative town government. And if changing something from the way we've always done it is going to raise this type of objection, I'd prefer to withdraw it.
Well, we've got some people who've spoken against it, but I would like to see how the rest of the board feels about it. And personally, I see the wisdom in it, so I would like to at least offer us the chance to vote on it. Yeah, Mr. Christie, do you have anything? Do you have anything? Go ahead, Mr. McCrisky, and I'll come right to you after that.
Thank you. Again, maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but it seems like a pretty simple discussion. An earlier comment made that if you don't have one service, this is going to confuse something. You're not going to get charged for something you don't have. It doesn't matter how we account for the money. You're not going to be charged. If you don't have sewer, you're not going to get charged for sewer. The board would vote a water increase, and you would pay the water increase. So I don't understand that argument at all. I think that everything should be up for conversation. It doesn't bother me. And yes, this is the select board's authority under the town charter. But if we're working with our town departments, which we have had, as this board knows, a very aggressive plan to improve internally our auditing process, the changes that have been made with Biz coming on board from things that were done in the past, the residents of this community, whether they're town meeting representatives or the people that don't vote, period, they are getting a better service from the way that we're keeping our finances right now. So when it comes to an issue like this, I'm going to be inclined to support the people that are doing the job every day on behalf of this board, the water and sewer commissioners, and the residents who pay the bills in this town. So I'm open to the conversation on it. I'm curious to hear what my colleagues have.
Thank you. Mr. Carrera, thank you very much.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, the union, how are we going to handle that?
Through you, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, sure.
It's the same union for both water and sewer, and we have the same management rights through that union. We may be required to do impact bargaining, which is one session. We're not required to get permission from the union to do this. It's a good question.
I know we're not supposed to get permission, but what I'm trying to tell you is I know how this is going to play out. Some guys are on call to fix water leaks. Some guys in sewer unable to know how to fix a water leak. A water leak is a lot different than laying sewer pipe. It's high generated, it's go, go, go. It's done in mostly cold freezing weather. And it got to the point where another superintendent decided it's too cold for my guys to work out. Let's bid it out to a private contractor so that they can come in and be cold during the night. So this is the stuff we're going to run into with the union. It sounds good, but there's things that got to be addressed. But the other thing is, too, sewer wants to buy a dump truck because they need it. And if the retained earnings are used to levy the water rate so we don't go up, now we're borrowing. Either way, which pocket are you taking the money out of? It's only a week later that you're going to take the same amount out. Do you know what I mean?
Sure. Mr. Chairman?
That's all I'm saying.
Scott, I just want to make one point. You just eloquently described why we're recommending this. Right now, we can't get water to do what sewer does or get sewer to do what water does. We have the management rights. We have the contractual CBA rights. But right now, we operate in two separate silos. By doing this operationally, we can require that each person be trained in multiple areas so they don't get to decide when they go out or what they're going to work on. They're going to be cross-trained to do either one. The alternative to that, as you pointed out, and you're so right, is we subcontract it. We're doing that now. We're subcontracting people to put in water lines in some cases. We're subcontracting the repair of pumps for the water stations in many cases because we've only got one mechanic trained. If we train everybody in everything, we don't have to keep building the staff. In fact, we can reduce the staff and save money. Again, I'm not vetted to this. I'm fine with the discussion. I really am. I've run operations in companies I've owned for Well, 35 years, and this is how you make more money or save money. But I do want to keep reinforcing the point that it doesn't change how we price water and sewer. It doesn't go into the cost structure because sewer is determined by formula, not by actual expense. Thank you.
Thanks. So just so that we can move on, I think we've kind of beaten this one pretty good. Are there any other articles that people want to have questions about, whether or not that it should be inserted, or just have general questions? Sorry, Ms. Roberts.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a general question on its process of Article number 16. This is a petition. Is that a citizen's petition article?
I'm looking what's online. It's 15. Is there a separate?
I think that was updated to, because it was misnumbered. 15? So if it's 15, when I look at the list, 15 says prior appropriation closeout under Article 70, Annual Town Meeting 2023 sunset. And then I have a 16 here that says, that's the older one. So if I look at this one says, which is the citizen's petition, but then the backup has 16. So something got out of alignment. Okay, so that means it's just coming before us because that's just the protocol, not because we are weighing in, because it's a citizen's petition. We do
Correct.
absolutely
Yes,
nothing about
it's a
it.
petitioned article. I think we are obliged to insert it. I think we have no choice in the matter.
Thank you very much, and that's all the only
Yeah,
question
and
I have.
additionally, our charter has two requirements about petitioned articles. One is with regard to special town meeting. If they get 100 signatures, then we have to insert it in the next town meeting. If they get 200, then we are compelled to call a town meeting and insert it. And then they have more than 200 signatures. So not only are we obliged to insert it into this one, if we were not going to have a special town meeting, we would be obliged to open a warrant, insert it, and close the warrant. So this one's completely out of our hands.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that was for, I want to make sure I'm looking at all the right articles. Do we have 15 or 16? 15. Okay, so I'm looking at the right document. Excellent. Any other articles that people want to weigh in on?
No.
Okay, in that case, because we do have one that's.
Are we still asking about articles?
Yeah, that's what we're here for, man. If you've got a question. Yeah.
Article 6, National Grid, located on town-owned parcel, right? And if you look at the plan, it comes from an existing pad on the town's parcel, and then I'm assured that this is a private parcel that it's going to access. And if we were getting an easement, it would cost us money. So why are we being nice guys and giving an easement to a private group that's going to make money because we're nice guys? Why wouldn't we ask for what it's worth? Because otherwise, go in the street, cut the road, and stay off our property.
I can answer that. Again, this is from National Grid, directly from them. It's not coming from a private developer or anything like that. It is to benefit the abutting property. There's already an easement from National Grid on that entire property for electrical service to our pump station. They're just redefining what's included within that easement. It covers the entire parcel, so there's already an electrical easement. It just doesn't cover that electrical line. The alternative to this is that we don't approve this, and then you're running utility poles from Route 138 up Atkinson Avenue, which I think anytime we can put electric underground, it makes the neighborhood look better. So I think it's a benefit for anybody who actually goes through that area to actually have underground electric at the expense of somebody else.
Well, why don't we count the poles that they would need and get something for our easement? Just because National Grid has an easement, it's not an easement to say, hey, we're going to serve 10 other private buildings. Who's going to maintain it? It's on our property now. It's a line that wasn't there before. It's going to be there. It cuts right across. It doesn't even humor me and try to go in a way that it can follow the lot line perfect.
Yeah, it would be an easement maintained by National Grid like they have now. They're just modifying it to include that line.
Yeah, but the pad was probably to supply the pump house with power.
Right.
It wasn't put there to say, oh, whoever does this piece of property, let's save them on 10 poles at $2,000 a piece. What does the town of Stoughton get out of this? Do you know how many poles we got out there standing up, married together, that we still haven't seen them removed? And I'm going to give them an easement as a nice guy?
The alternative is you just don't approve this, and then you have a series of utility poles going up the street from.
Doesn't bother me.
So I know the neighbors in that area were vocal about how things look in this area. So I mean, we'd be doing the neighbors a service by actually allowing an underground electric service, I think, because they're concerned about how their neighborhood looks.
This is Atkinson Ave Extension, right? And this piece of property is almost down bordering 138, right?
It's a very long property.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yep.
Why don't they get the power from 138? Why do we have to go up here and save that? They could get it. Look at where that pedestal, that new pedestal is down here. It couldn't be more than 80 feet from 138.
You could skin this cat a few ways. This is what got
That's the
proposed
cat
from
that should be skinned. This is over 200 feet of underground.
There's only a few feet on our parcel. The other part is on the other parcel.
Right.
So the portion on our property is about 50
the amount
feet.
by this, if this is drawn to scale, if you flip that piece down to here, it'd be out here, where it belongs.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, I get your points. I understand what you're saying.
I'm just looking at the easiest way
if
instead of doing things the hard way.
If somebody came in the downtown and proposed to put electric underground, we'd be all in favor of it because we care about what it looks like. I just think we'd be doing the people in this area a service that drive by this every day.
Well, I thought you would think it was cute. Yeah.
Mr. Murphy, please mute. This is not a public hearing. Thank you.
So that's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just I think if we can do a service to the taxpayers that live in the area that were very vocal at these hearings about how things look in the area.
What I'm trying to say is there's no houses on 138 here.
Can I
If
say,
they come off of 138,
like, at one point, is
we're not going to have all the poles that you think are going to be up there in the neighborhood. There's no houses on that whole strip of Atkinson Ave Extension. There's the entrance to the new conservation property, and that's about it. And then they're putting in this building where they ripped down and lowered all of it to grade, and it just makes more sense to come the short route than asking us to jump out of the pedestal and go the other way. I just don't see it.
I would like to just add this, and you might know better than I do. I don't recall a past president for us necessarily charging people for easements or National Grid, but even if we were to, the way I read the article wouldn't prohibit that. It's to a vote to authorize the select board to grant an easement. We can grant it with conditions, and that could be a condition of payment. So I don't think actually that the way the article's written even prevents that from happening.
What I'm trying to do, Mr. Cavey, is get them out of an easement with us that doesn't need to be done. Mr. Tisdale knows as well as I do, if they're coming this way from the hill through here, down here, so they're afraid of the telephone poles. You won't even need them. You know why? Because they could put it on the ground and run it down the side of the road and pay for it the way normal people do it. It's shorter to get to that pedestal from this roadway right here. And why they don't even use the intelligence to do that is beyond me. Beyond me. It's a simple item. I don't even, this is stuff we shouldn't even be dealing with, is to have them jumping on our pedestal in the middle of the thing. God knows there's something heaven and a backfed, and now that pump station's down. That services quite a few.
So this isn't my article. I'm just
I know,
explaining the information
I'm not tearing you
from
apart.
National
All I'm
Grid.
saying is-
That's all I'm trying to say.
Let's back and forth, guys.
So-
Okay. But we can.
We're here to talk about articles. If you don't want me to bring in what I think can help this board make a decision, I'll just shut up.
I very much welcome your input on these things. It's an area that I don't have a lot of experience in, and I rely on you for that. What I don't want.
I just gave you my experience. In my world,
You're raising your voice at me?
No. I'm
You
just
are,
saying,
and I would like you to stop.
Steve, what I'm trying to tell you is I'm giving you my experience I've done for 53 years. Nobody in his right mind would run this way when they can run short and do it less intrusive.
Thank you.
That's all I'm trying to do. I'm actually helping the developer out than worrying about having an easement here because somebody thinks it's the quick shot.
Does anybody else have any comments about item 6 or Article 6? Okay. Are there any other articles that we have any concerns with or any questions? So we have two that have that we should probably take a second and take a separate vote on. And for that reason, I'll do it the following way, and if people want to do it some other way, by all means, let me know. But it seems Articles 1 through 3, nobody's taken any issue with those, and so I'd entertain an article to insert Articles 1 through 3 into the special town meeting warrant. Second. Okay, made by Mr. Cheeto, seconded by Mr. Carrera. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. Article 4. This is a combination of water and sewer enterprise accounts. I'll entertain either a motion to abandon it or to actually that wouldn't make any sense. Just an article to this would be a motion to insert.
Motion to assert.
Made by Ms. Roberts.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor? Aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
Okay. So that's 3-2. Motion, the article's inserted. Item 5, this is Page Street discontinuance easement.
Can I ask one question about
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
How many times did we get about that? Which was this?
We have,
Continuance on Page Street. How long is this road?
we voted to give it to them, they voted it, and now we have to accept it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, it has. It
It's-
has.
Sometimes these things are slow. But nobody's raised any concerns about it otherwise, so all in favor, actually, is there a motion to insert by Mr. Vice Chair Carrera, seconded by Mr. McCrisky, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm a little deaf on the side. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, so that's unanimous. Item number 6, or Article number 6, this is the National Grid easement located on town-owned property, parcel.
Motion to deny.
Okay, so there's a motion to deny. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion was made and seconded, so this is a motion to not insert. So all in favor, say aye. So this would be, in order, you're voting the denial. So are you in favor of voting the denial?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
No, yeah. So that fails. Is there a motion to insert?
So made, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, made by Ms. Roberts, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
No.
Okay, so that is 4-1. I believe, Mr. Cheeto, you voted
I
in
said
favor?
yes.
Thank you. 4-1. And without any other, if there's no other objections, then Articles 7 through 15, is there a motion to insert those?
Do we have to change?
Those are all the,
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, do we have to insert a citizen's petition? I mean, do we have to approve insertion
Yes.
of a
Yeah,
citizen's
we have to insert it.
petition?
We have to insert it. So do
Okay.
you, sorry,
Because
Mr.
we could
Tisdale.
do- Oh, Mr. Tisdale.
No, when you're done talking, I didn't want to interrupt, sorry. I apologize.
These are all those citizen petitions, right?
So
7
I-
through 15?
No,
So I approve.
these are all town, so I can just go 7 through 14, if you prefer that. These would be all town articles, 7 through 14.
Can you do up to 13? I got a discussion on 14. I'd like to add information for 14.
For 14? Okay, so let's start with doing 7 through 12. Is there a motion to insert Articles 7 through 12?
Yes.
Made by Mr. Gito, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Roberts, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. I did want to just separate out 13 because those are the school articles, and so just to vote these separately. This is school, there's 4 articles: a telephone system replacement, complete HAVAC systems, grade K through 5 charging cart for school Chromebooks, and a capital needs assessment. Is there a motion to insert those articles?
So moved.
Second.
So moved. So moved by Mr. Gito, seconded by Mr. McCrisky.
Just to,
Give you a second.
What numbers were those, Steve?
yeah,
It's 13.
where it says on the school
13?
capital projects, it says estimated cost, $127.50. That's not an accurate cost. You have to add up each one of them, so it's $368,000 and change, I believe. I just want to note that the estimated cost is not reflective of the total article.
Okay, so their estimated costs for item D it was?
If you add it up, it's $368,000. I do not have a calculator on me. I just want to make sure that the estimated cost is not $120,000. So that will have to be corrected,
Okay.
okay?
Okay, so the estimated cost will be corrected, but the article, insertion of the article itself.
Yes.
Motion was made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. You guys?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Good. Okay, so any opposed? So that's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman? Would
Yes.
the board on that particular article be interested in how that would be paid for? Would there be no borrowing? That's from old articles, isn't it?
I think it was.
And that will be in the motion going forward as to how that will be paid for. There is no additional borrowing. There is no additional funding. We're reallocating funds from other articles.
Okay. Okay, excellent. So item 14, Mr. Tisdale, did you want to speak to that one?
Sure.
Okay.
The details of Article 14 could be spoken to about our finance director, but the blue part, we're making one modification. We have a separate blue chart that I put in front of you. There's one article that got reduced off that chart. Correct me if I'm wrong, Biz. It's the Cape and Reynolds project, the original article. Since the project's still under construction, we took it off the chart and modified the chart accordingly.
That's number 4 on the list.
Okay. With that information, does anybody have any further questions? Just make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay, is there a motion to insert?
So moved.
Second.
Just one last point. In the past, the board, when you vote this, you insert it in and you vote everything conditional that as long as we don't change the subject matter, that town council can cross the T's and dot the I's and proofread this one more time. So if there's a word that's missing somewhere, they can put it in. So that's what you since I've been here, that's how this has been voted, the warrants. So I think you just put that caveat in there, just like Biz was saying that one number is off. Well, we want to change that number to be right.
Yeah, so maybe we'll add that at the end. I'll have to come up with some quick thinking on how to do that. So we've gotten 14. Oh, sorry. There's a motion to insert 14, made by Mr. Gito, seconded by Vice Chair Carrera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unanimous. And the last one is the petition article, which we're obliged to insert. So I'll entertain a motion to insert it.
And that's number what?
15.
15.
South School project. South
Chair.
Elementary School project.
If we could just ask the town manager one last time if he would explain how that article works, because I've had a lot of people call me up and want to know who, in being one person, who submitted the article. So, Mr. Town Manager, if you could just give a one last explanation how that article was supported in the process that follows.
Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to do that, but I think you explain it far more eloquently than I do. Would you like to explain that?
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, it's the lady who submitted that article is a member of the PAC in support of the South Elementary School project, and the PAC that was involved in that. My understanding is that they created this petitioned article requesting that town meeting ask the select board to call for a vote, a second vote on this topic. I think that they've submitted. I don't know how many have been certified. I think they have close to. I think it was over 1,000 signatures were provided. At least 100 have been certified, just to make sure that we had the information we need. Do you have more updated information?
I do, Mr. Cavey. They have received close to 1,100 signatures. The clerk's office, even though the election is upon us, is certifying them every day. There's well over 350 been certified so far.
Okay, and they'll continue to certify those, but it reaches the threshold for insertion.
Right.
Does that help?
Well, yeah, no, it's just there are some people that want to know the person's name, but it's not more the person, it's the amount of signatures that automatically trigger that going directly to town meeting. It bypasses the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, and the petitioner's name is on the petitions themselves.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that, but that's one person, and there were some people that were confused that had talked to me, and that's why from this meeting with everybody here, I want to make sure it's heard so that there's no discussion as to, anything other.
The petitioner is the petitioner.
Yeah.
The name on is the petitioner. The people who sign are in support. That's how it should be said. Not everybody's a petitioner. There's
fair
only
enough.
one petitioner.
Yeah, so Vice Chair Carrera was just mentioning that there is a single petitioner, is the person whose name's on that, and the signatures. But they hold a lot of weight, because if the petitioner wants to change the petition, they have to go to all of the people who signed it too.
Right.
So it's not like they're out on a limb by themselves. They very much are supported by all of the signers of the petition. But it is a petition article by a member of the PAC that ran in support of the South School. That's my understanding. And so, is there a motion to insert?
Mr. Chairman,
So made.
Yes.
it's automatically inserted.
Right.
You guys don't get to vote on that.
Okay. That's good to hear. I just want to make sure that we're not crossing, we're not going to mess anything up here. So that one is automatically inserted, and I'm just going to ask everybody agree with that? Excellent. Okay.
That's what I agree with.
Sweet.
So you can,
I'm just looking. Yeah, I'm just like not look. I don't want to get in any trouble here. What was that?
I'm certain the gentlelady is correct, but I would take a vote just in case.
Yeah, in the
if we're
abundance
going
of
to turn it
caution.
over to FinCom.
do it again.
What's that?
Make the
In the abundance
motion.
of
Steve, we're
caution.
going to cover, Steve wants to just cover it.
Okay, motion to insert the article as submitted.
Second.
Okay, perfect. Made by Ms. McCrisky, seconded by Vice Chair Carrera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome. I really appreciate you guys. I think that's going to, for humoring me on that. I just want to make sure we don't end up being in trouble. Okay, so all of the articles are inserted. I will ask, as Mr. Tisdale was mentioning, just a motion that allows for there to be immaterial alterations to the body of the articles in number, grammar, spelling, clerical issues that need to be addressed, that we allow the town accountant, town manager, and the town council opportunity to clarify and fill in any missing information, as well as correct errors. Found a misspelling already? Okay, we can.
Well, but not to change the intent of.
Not to change the intent or change it in any material ways.
Right.
That it simply be clerical, and I know some of these might have an estimated cost that needs to be updated, or grammar, misspelling, that type of stuff.
We get a piece of paper in support here of Article 9 that came from the Commonwealth of Mass Department of Revenue, and it just stuck out funny to me because you hear Juneteenth and then you hear 13th, and I looked at it and I was trying to figure out how this thing spells out. So I had to have my wife spell 13th for me, so I knew I wasn't stupid. But who spells 13th? T-H-I-R-T-I-E-T-H. Did you see that?
Yes. Yes.
That's not on this warrant, though, right?
What was that?
Is that on this warrant? No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
So is there a motion to allow town council, town manager, and town accountant the latitude to make those changes? Ms. Roberts, you seconded it? Who? Yes, I seconded. Who made the motion?
I did.
Mr. McCrisky made the motion. Ms. Roberts seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. So that is a major milestone. We've got all these inserted, and we have the caveats to allow for the editing that's necessary. Now the only thing remaining, if the board wills, is to close the warrant.
Motion to close, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so
Second.
much. Motion was made by Mr. Carrera, seconded by Mr. McCrisky. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. The warrant is closed. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next item of business, which is the continuation of hearing for September 4th, 2024. This is a water application for a water abatement hearing. Annie Batista. Biz, thank you very much. Taking this one over?
It's probably pretty easy. Unless
You can keep
All
the
you,
backup.
man.
Yep, just the,
Okay, so as our practice has been, our vice chair, who has copious amounts of public hearing experience, is going to be acting chair for the purpose of the public hearings. Oh, I'm not sure.
November 18th. Do we have to approve that? It doesn't hurt. November 18th, possible. Yep.
Once again, a bunch of caution here. I just want to make sure that we don't make a mistake that hurts anybody else. Sorry, if you want to just hang out for 1 second. I do want to make sure that we have a motion to set the date for town meeting, special town meeting, to be November 18th. It's moved by Mr. Cheeto,
Second.
by Ms. Roberts. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay. November 18th, or 18. It's now in the moderator's hands. Thank you so much, and thank you for your patience.
this is, Mr. Chairman, a continuation of 854 Washington Street. Annie Bautista for an application for a water abatement. This was a continued hearing. I'll entertain a motion to reopen the continued. I have a motion to open.
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Cavey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're open. Okay, we got some information that shows that you had a plumber come in and look at stuff, and that you didn't show any leakage. You showed instead strong spikes of usage. That's what we have. Is that right, Karen? So there was like no leaks. It's heavy use at certain times.
Yes.
So do you understand that? Did you see Did Karen supply that information to you?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
I'm, at least on our behalf, if I may at least say
Go
out
ahead.
to you guys, I want to potentially still do some digging because as I know Karen did point out to us that at least the dates that, for example, my family and I, we were out of the second floor from that Friday to about Monday, about 1 o'clock or so in the morning we came back. And it looks like there was no usage at that point. And that everything resumed again afterwards. But there are some other dates prior to that as well that we were home, that you could see at least a day or two that showed that there was also no usage. But again, we were home for that time frame. So I'm still kind of, at least on my end, a little lost unless Ms. Brown can explain to me maybe a little better. Maybe I'm not seeing something or understanding something.
Karen, you want one of these mics? Oh. What's that?
So I spoke with Mr. Santana regarding when you were away, okay? And the whole time that you were away, we were not showing anything leaking. When I look at your graphs and from the time that you had come back, it looks to me like this is the amount of water that you're using. You guys use a lot of water, and I think it's showing up like this, showing that something is leaking. It is very, very minimal, but there is water used constantly. And if I go back and I look from when we put the meter in June, it's the same kind of history. And I think what it comes down to, it's just the amount of water that is going through your meter. So, and I understand what the plumber said, and like I had told you before, I just think that's what you use, the amount that you use.
If I may, again, it just seems odd at least between that time, like again from midnight to let's call it 6 a.m. or so, that there's still some spikes there. I mean, I can certainly. It would be nice to be able to see, let's say, what's a toilet usage compared to, taking a shower, let's say a 30-minute shower or 10-minute shower, whatever it is, compared to just washing your hands, to be able to see those different markers there. It's just
that's kind of hard to control because you're dealing in cubic feet of water.
Correct. Yes.
So you figure a cubic foot of water, 12 by 12, it adds up. It's like a little better than 7.5 or 8 gallons or something.
Correct. Yeah, and that's the part where it's like some days obviously seem to be a higher spike, and then obviously other days there's nothing at all. And then other days, again, there's, a half of that spike that happened 3 days ago or so. So it's just tough to, I definitely agree with, the plumbers and that they saw no leak because I went around with them, looking at everything and showing them every crease and crevice that they could find. But it's just still, I can see what Ms. Brown is saying that it's just normal usage. But I personally, at least, I'm concerned that there's still something happening there because, again, in between those times, if somebody just wakes up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock just to go use the restroom or so, and then that's it, it shouldn't be a continuing spike. It should just be a quick blip in the system, and then that's it. But it seems to be a lot more than just that there, at least to my understanding.
Did you ever find out about the hot water issue that you mentioned, the plumber had mentioned to you about the hot water?
Karen, speak.
I can speak on that there. What she's asking.
I want to hear what she asked, if you don't mind.
He had mentioned to me something about the plumber mentioned something about your hot water heater.
Correct. So the hot water heater, he was, since when he was there on that Friday, he didn't find anything. He was thinking that there could potentially be a heat leak. So he turned which would essentially be some sort of leak behind a wall or through some piping that he couldn't see. Obviously through the basement, it could be behind a concrete wall or a dry wall or anything else there. So he shut off the heat currently, which is only for the first floor there. He shut that water there and wanted to see if there was still a leak in the system, then it wasn't heat related. However, if there was no leak, then it would be potentially, then it would actually be a heat related leak there. And it still is off to, from the moment that they turned it off a week and a half ago or so.
Go ahead, speak. I thank you guys for coming up, and I know it's difficult when you it can be very. I want you to know, like, I definitely have sympathy and I have empathy. I've had these exact same things happen to me. Thanks. So I've had these same problems happen to me from time to time, and from I guess our end of this equation, like the sort of mystery of trying to figure out where the water's going. I understand it's frustrating, but for the municipality, it's not part of like our roles in this. Like we've transmitted water to your house, it's gone through the meter, and what happens after that is honestly none of our business. And so what you do with it is entirely up to you. We've had abatements where, and Karen, please tell me if I'm mistaken, but I do recall one where the meter was cracked and it was spinning, but like water was like, as soon as it got past the meter, the crack was causing a leak. It was noticeable, and so that would be something where, yeah, like our equipment was faulty, and so it was reading water coming in and then immediately pouring it onto the floor, and so that's not something that we'd expect you to pay for. That'd be the town to make an adjustment and make an abatement on that, because it wasn't water that was actually being used. And the fault was of the equipment that we had. But once it gets into your pipes, that is your pipes. And depending on the makeup of the structure of your house and the things you might have in there, it can go a lot of places and come from, there's a lot of problems. You've mentioned the hot water heater, the classic problem are, the toilets that even this morning I woke up and I heard like the shh sound and I was like, oh God. So there's times when that happens, but the water has gone into your property, and at that point, to abate it is essentially like an insurance policy that the town would pay to indemnify you against like issues with your own equipment, and that's not something we're able to do. So if you feel like the water's going through the meter correctly and the meter's not broken, then at that point the problem's within your own property. We can definitely help provide data points, help pinpoint what it might be, when it might be, because we're able to register that stuff now, and I think in real time or something similar to that. So we'll definitely be able to provide you with statistics that can help you determine that. I know that the software we have for it is pretty sophisticated, but are we able to put like thresholds on that show? I know we have one, but it might be there's a way to set it even lower so that we can, for his property, give you guys alerts if something's happening like much sooner. That would make sense. But as I said, I want to sort of end where I started, which is I have complete sympathy for this and empathy. I appreciate how you get a nail with a big bill, how painful it could be, if I'm able to help, I'll sort of hear what other people have to say. If I'm able to help, I want to be able to. But if it's getting into your house, I feel like that's not really something that we're able to. We have no control over it, so we also have no accountability for it in that case. So does anybody else have any? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Deborah?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. What type of assistance would you like from us? What are you asking us for? You're before us and you have a request, and I still haven't heard your request, and I wanted to ask you at this time.
Hold on a second. Okay, gracias. Thank you. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. Is the town able to give us at least, I don't know, maybe 50% of our help or something that the town are able to do that for us?
You're asking for 50% off of the charge,
Yes.
the total charge of your usage.
Yes.
Is there, yes.
Now, if I may ask, it sounds like, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, you were, I understand where you guys are going with all this, and I agree with you guys 100%. As Mr. G has stated before, off the last meeting, obviously, if we use the water, that's our charge. You know, like you said, whatever you do with it afterwards, obviously it's on us. I certainly understand that there. But if I'm not mistaken, also the abatement is for prior to the meter being changed as well. This was for, again, I'm blanking on my dates now, the third or the fourth quarter of last year, at least about 5 months prior to the meter being changed. So I just want to keep that in light as well. It's not just for current bills after the meter was changed, it was prior to the meter being changed as well.
Do you mind if I just ask a question?
Go ahead.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Just very quickly, and this is to Ms. Brown. Are there any penalties, late fees, anything like that that are being added? Or also is there are they being charged at a higher tier because of water usage?
They are being charged interest and penalty. They have made payments, and their average usage is 3,400 cubic feet per quarter. So the first tier is 2,600. So the remaining goes to the second tier.
Okay, so a lot of this additional usage has gone to the second tier.
So their next bill that they're going to be getting in November, I looked it up, so they'll be billed at 3,100 cubic feet of usage. So they are always into that. There's some usage into the second tier.
Thank you.
I'm not trying to lead the witness or anything, but are you also interested in a payment plan arrangement?
Right now, like Ms. Karen said, I am making a payment, not monthly, but as much as I can. Right now, my last bill was like $1,900 and something. I paid like $1,000. I owe like $900 plus whatever interest it is, but I'm still making payment. Before, I was making $300 a month. But I haven't been able to do that because I'm combining everything at once, and I'm doing it like a lump sum. Before that, like last year and the year before, I was able to pay my bill every quarterly because at that time it was between $500 to $700 every 3 months, and I was able to pay it everything at once. But like Jay said, last year when I got the last bill, it was almost $3,000, and that's what put me behind because I haven't been able to catch up. Because every 3 quarters I'm paying like $1,000, a little bit more than $1,000 if I can.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I got it.
Mr. Gito, do you have anything you'd like to add? Flip your mic on if you want to say something.
I don't know where to go on this. I mean, what I'm hearing is the water is coming into the house, there's no leaks, and You know, there have been a couple times when there's been, over the course of 2 quarters, about 18,000. What? Cubic feet of water? Back in 2021, and again in 2023-24. And the rest of the time, it's been somewhere around 3,500, something like that. I guess it was 34. And if there's no leaks, there's got to be something going through that system.
Yep.
So I don't know if there's a question or not in all of that, but I don't see where we're involved in that.
Thank you. Mr. McCrisky, do you have anything to add? No. Town manager? No. Does anybody else have anything to say? And on the board?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. What has been our protocol on late fees and interest charges? What have we done in the past to other
If
residents?
they had the meter changed, we would stop the late fees and stuff. And then once the meter was changed and the water usage continued to be high, then we'd give them a break on the late fees up to that point. Is that right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, that's sort of been a general policy. That's why I asked, if we can at the very least reduce penalties and interest and just make it easier for you to be able to pay that off a little bit faster. I think that, to me, I find that reasonable. It would be a motion once we close this hearing that I'd be happy to make, that we at least relieve those. But with the water, I think that has been. It's gone through your house, so it's hard to sort of play around with that a little bit. That's the other reason why I asked about the tiers too. But if you're already going into tier 2, then that wouldn't help you.
Right. And the thing is, when the plumber says there might be something behind a wall, let me tell you, if it was leaking to that amount, you'd know it. You would see it. It would push something off the side of the house, the siding, or it would show up traveling across the floor. There's no way that amount of water, unless it's gone through the pipe and down through the sewer. That's the tough thing. The tough thing is, you're on water and sewer. That's how it works. It's a large item when people just get in that shower and just hang out, and it's a great day in the city, But I will open it up. He says it's an open hearing. I'll open it up to the audience. Does anybody have anything to say in the audience? Go ahead, Karen.
I just want to let you guys know, so since that bill they received was for $2,826.84, they've made $3,600 in payments. So any interest and penalty that they have been assessed has already been paid with their payments, and that bill has been paid. So their balance is $924, which is the last bill that we just sent out in August with some interest and penalty. So I just want to put it out there. I'm not sure how that would work when you guys were talking about interest and penalty, where everything has been paid.
Yeah, it's been paid. I mean, we can have it credited though, and towards the water payments, previous penalties and interest. If the board is interested, we'll keep the accountants busy, but we'll see how it goes. Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right. Is there anybody online who has anything to say? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. What would be the wish of the board on this?
So, Mr. Vice Chair, I make a motion to eliminate all interest and penalties. Any interest and penalties that have already been paid would be credited towards the account. I guess I'll leave it at that.
And I'll second that.
So that's a motion, that's, oh,
Well, in this case, the water's not being paid for, so it's only the interest and penalties. And I don't think that that would be something that would necessarily be, wouldn't affect any other ratepayers. I think those are mostly used as incentives to pay your bill on time.
yeah, the penalties aren't like going through the meter, it's the water we want.
So,
And the cost of-
yeah, it's not being nobody's subsidizing this.
So we would be able to get the amount. All right, and we can approve that now. So I have the motion from Steve and seconded by Deborah to abate the penalties and the interest. It's the best we can do for you. And from this point forward, you're going to have to watch what you do, because there's no leaks, then you're using the water. This is the one rock that you get to throw. What's the wish of the board? Mr. Gito? Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Cavey?
I vote yes.
Mr. McCrisky, yes, and I'll vote yes. So
Thank you so much.
you have your abatement, and they'll get the number, and they'll contact you with what is either not owed and what's going to be reimbursed. All righty?
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you so much. As always, Mr. Vice Chair, fabulous job, and I really appreciate it. The final item on the agenda is an executive session. Item A, executive session pursuant to open meeting law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to potential litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating and litigating position of the board, and the chair so declares. I do so declare that discussing what we need to discuss in an open meeting will be detrimental for our negotiating and litigation position of the board. Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Second.
Made by Mr. McCrisky, seconded by Vice Chair Carrera. All in favor, Mr. McCrisky?
Yes.
Mr. Carrera?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Gito? I vote yes as well. We will not be returning to executive session. We will adjourn from, so we will not be returning to open session. We will be adjourning from our executive session. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening. And the time is 9:25. Be well.